Joining the Street 919 FM as your frequency of choice to take you through the rest of the morning drive time. And you're tuned into Cooking with Dominic. So let me say good morning to all those of you who may be sitting around your kitchen table. Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Giuseppe out there in San Fernando. Good morning to Mr. and Mrs. Regis, Sharon and Bruce, my colleagues. Good morning to you all and the staff of the Street 919 FM. Good morning to Alison Samuel, to Mother Tunapuna, Mano. Morning, Angie. Right. So it's a record, Angie. I can't say it, say it. Yes. Morning all. If you're making your way to and from the market, or you're in the throes of preparing your Sunday lunch, whatever it may be, we must thank God for having something to eat, as there are a lot of people who do not just in Trinidad, as some people may seek to give the impression, but worldwide, right, as a result of the ongoing ravages of the pandemic. So let me also, on behalf of the loyal listeners of the Street 919 FM, and by extension Trinidad and Tobago, extend birthday greetings to the Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, who I believe is celebrating his 72nd birthday, I think, today. So, kudos to you, sir, and I trust that you would have a very, very good one, and a most enjoyable one at that. I'm certain Mrs. Rowley and the rest of your family would make sure of that. Yeah? So from all of us here, a happy birthday to you. Right. So now that we've gotten the formalities out of the way, it is now 20 past 11. How time flies. So let me get straight into it. To debate or not to debate, that is the question, or rather that was the question last week Thursday, as the United National Congress, the countries, well, I don't want to call them I will no longer call them the opposition, I will call them the obstruction, sought to bring an unprecedented motion to remove, to unseat, to impeach the President of the Republic, Her Excellency Paula May Weeks. Right? And, there are many who are divided as to whether or not a debate should have taken place, at least during the first portion of the proceedings on Thursday, where, according to the guidelines set out by the Speaker, all that was required was for the proposer of the motion, in this case the leader of the obstruction, Mrs. Kamla Persad-Bissessar, to read her motion, and that was it. Vote and bust out. To have nothing else. There is to be no debate on the matter. Right? Just you come, you read your motion, right. But we all know the bacchanal that took place in the Parliament. Typical UNC fashion. We expected nothing less from them, because for everything for them these days is theatrics. Right? So they sought to make a big theatrical performance of what should have been a simple process and a simple procedure. So there is the argument that the leader of the opposition was not allowed to continue or to complete the reading of the motion, which is totally untrue, because from my understanding, the only thing that she left out of the motion was the names of the persons who signed, who would have signed to that motion, which would have been the members of the obstruction, right, in the House. Mrs. Persad-Bissessar, as leader of the obstruction, proposer of the motion, would have submitted her motion to the Speaker of the House for the Speaker to review, to vet, to approve. And as such, what was presented to the Speaker and what was subsequently sent out to the members of the Parliament for their review is what she was supposed to read. And that is what she read. All right? So, on the day, probably realizing, well, look, this motion real weak. I could have added this and I should have added that. So they come and try to pull off our swan. So after reading what was submitted to the Parliament for circulation to all members, the lower and the upper house who would form the Electoral College, she came on the day to try to add things to it, to embellish and put in a little something. And the Speaker would have none of it. Right? The Speaker would have read the motion, so she knew exactly where the motion ended. And when Mrs. Persad-Bissessar reached to that point, the Speaker then got up to proceed with the meeting. We know how that turned out. Didn't meet with the approval of the opposition, or rather the obstruction at all, and was bacchanal from there. I want to read for you, because there's no better, for me, source than when it comes out from the mouth of what was formerly a member, well, probably still a member of the UNC, and someone who would have once supported the leader of the opposition. This is from a post from Mr. Rabindra Moonan, who was at one time, under the People's Partnership, the chairman of CAL, and then he was subsequently removed and placed as the head of the HDC. So he's somebody in whom Kamla Persad-Bissessar once had full confidence. And Mr. Moonan writes, get it here. For years, the population thought July 27, 1990 was the darkest day in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, when armed insurrectionists stormed the hallowed halls of Parliament. On that day, some 31 years ago, parliamentarians who were trapped in the Red House cringed in horror that at any moment their lives could be snuffed out by a bunch of gun-toting brigands. Up comes October 21st, 2021, and in a Napoleon moment, amazing scenes were witnessed when the Parliament was again invaded by 18 members of the UNC, led by the Pied Piper of Siparia, Kamla Persad-Bissessar. His words, not mine. The UNC proceeded to launch an assault on decency and good sense. Armed with acidic tongues, they flayed with unrestrained terror at all they perceived to be against them, misquoting the Constitution and mangling the standing orders. Persad-Bissessar presented a motion laced with hearsay, innuendos and rumors, but no evidence. While in 1990 the insurrectionists allowed a few to leave the Red House, the UNC held all members captive as they hurled verbal bombs littered with a fair sprinkling of green verbs. In their hysteria, they attacked the furniture with incessant banging, as if that would have hammered home their point of view. They jumped up like a cat on a hot tin roof, and even drowned out their own colleagues in uncontrolled crosstalk. In one comical moment, the leader of the opposition, while she should have been tearing into the PNM, could hardly muster the vigor to tear up a piece of paper with the necessary strength and drama. One member of the opposition had the temerity and effrontery to say that they were voted in by the people, and rudely asked the speaker, "Who voted for you?" It is quite obvious. The member is ignorant of the fact that the UNC speaker of 2010 to 2015 period never won an election in his life. The behavior of the UNC at the sitting of Parliament gives a certain amount of dignity to the fish vendors and others who sell their produce at George Street and Mukarapo Street markets. Their behavior certainly makes the actions of July 27, 1990 look like choir boys gone wrong. Persad-Bissessar tried her best to have the office of the president embroiled in the political bacchanal of the country. She tried her utmost to destroy an institution that should be held up to the greatest respect by all citizens. She tried her best to continue to divide the country. She tried her best to create mayhem, to shield her incompetence. She tried her best to hold on to the shrinking position of leader of the opposition, and in all of these, she failed miserably. She has been politically outmaneuvered once more and should consider herself fortunate that no debate was permitted. October Revolution, my foot, Mr. Rabindra Moonan. And we saw the early, the early pictures of what the October Revolution is to look like. So, in a couple of the UNC constituencies yesterday, they had a handful of people chanting, "Rowley must go, Rowley must go. Fix we road, we worry road fix now." Yeah, that's the big revolution. Oh boy. Okay then. All right. Of course, the excuse will be, well, we observing COVID protocols, so we really didn't have much of a crowd. But yet still all your same supporters on Facebook cussing all out if that is the biggest crowd you all could have muster. Embarrassment to the hilt. So much so that on their Facebook page, UNC's official Facebook page, it is now inundated with letters of support and congratulations from various constituency executives who are pledging their continued fidelity to the leader of the obstruction and their party, and praising them for what took place last week, Thursday. Now, I have my views on whether or not a debate should have taken place. I am no constitutional lawyer, I am no attorney, right? Just simple common sense. Now, in the wake of what took place Thursday and the protestations of the UNC that the speaker is a dictator, that democracy is dead, so all of them came to the parliament last week Thursday dressed in black, to signal the death of democracy in the country. All part of the theatrics. You know, you had to hand it to them. They deserve an Emmy for that performance. Yeah? Apparently, the only person who didn't have a black outfit in her wardrobe was the MP for Maruga, Michelle Benjamin. Well, unfortunately. Come now, Michelle. You someone that kakada you're making as an MP to get something black now? Oh gosh, you throw off the status there, but anyway, that is for another time. Since Thursday, we've had a number of, if you want to call them, legal luminaries, and what I would call the battle of the legal luminaries, where you have attorneys of long standing, senior attorneys, those who are saying that the speaker was correct, there was to be no debate, and then there are those on the other side who are saying there could have been a debate. So we have the likes of Avery Sinanan, senior counsel, Martin Daly, senior counsel, attorney at law Martin George, former puny judge Gregory Delzin, and others, all saying the speaker was correct. There was to have been no debate on the motion. Contrary to what people like Mr. Larry Lala, who apparently don't know if he coming or going, because 1 minute he's supporting Kamala, the next minute he calling for her to go, and then he come back in her corner again, and then the next day. So depending on what his mood is, he will decide if he's supporting her today and not supporting her tomorrow. But the whole issue of this debate, and I have a few questions, because I know these days everybody have questions, and they want their questions answered. So, if there was to have been a debate on the motion to trigger Section 36, what is with these Section 30-somethings, you know? So they had their Section 34, and they looking up in a Section 30-something on Keith Rowley, so they pull out Section 36, right? So they wanted to trigger Section 36 to have, to begin the process, to have the president impeached. Based on what? Based on hearsay. By the admission of the opposition or the leader of the obstruction in her press conference, she and her parliamentary cronies had neither evidence nor facts to substantiate their motion. And based on that admission and in the absence of evidence and facts, what were you coming to debate? The very things that we've been hearing for the last 2 weeks at the Monday Night Forum, the very things that we've been hearing for the last 2 weeks at your Sunday morning press conference, the very things that we've been hearing for the last 2 weeks coming out of the mouth of the Doglaya, the very things that we've been hearing for the last 2 weeks coming out of the mouth of Madman Naked, is that what we were supposed to get more of in this debate? Because again, you said you had no facts, you had no evidence. So we would have had a debate that would have allowed for members of the opposition to drag the president's name through the mud, to make all manner of allegations, to cast all manner of aspersions on the president's character, right? They can have no shame, because as we saw the Doglaya casting aspersions on the president's sexuality, that is how low they're prepared to go. So were we to expect more of that? So all of them, had they been given the opportunity, one by one would have gotten up and, as I said, had been allowed to say the nastiest of things about the president, right? Give us all kind of machinations from their sick and twisted imagination without any basis in fact or any basis in evidence. Nothing, right? So we know what we were to expect. And the president would have had no opportunity or occasion to respond. So she would have been at home or at her office, looking on at this debate, hearing people, members of the obstruction, saying the worst things about her, and she has no forum, no opportunity in which to respond to her accusers. Who was to speak for the president in this debate? The government? Does the Constitution authorize the government in circumstances such as these to be the de facto mouthpiece for the president? And what was the government side to respond to? Hearsay, conjecture, supposition, rara, and janjat? What were they supposed to respond to? A man calling the president an insipid, you know what? How you respond to that? A man making a claim that perhaps the reason why the president would have appointed certain people to certain commissions is because the president engaging in pum-pum politics. How do you respond to that? And if it is members of the government were to respond on behalf of the president, assuming that they are authorized so to do, because the president couldn't come to the parliament herself and defend her character and face her accusers, would it then have been said that the president now owes a debt of gratitude to the government for defending her good name, and therefore she's now a partisan president? Let us not forget, Paula May Weeks was elected President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago unanimously. All members of the government side and the members of the opposition side supported her nomination. In fact, Kamla Persad-Bissessar made mention of that just this week in one of her press conferences, that she felt proud to sign the nomination forms to have Trinidad and Tobago elect its first female president. She said so. So both the opposition and the government supported the election of Paula May Weeks, as was the case with her predecessor, Anthony Carmona. His predecessor, unfortunately, was not so fortunate because, as you would recall, Max Richards' name officially went into the pot back in 2001 to be named as the Speaker of the House. The UNC 1818 deadlock, not willing to break that deadlock, put up their own nominee, I believe, if memory serves me correctly, a gentleman by the name of Ganesh Ramdial. And I believe that name again came back when Mr. Professor Max Richards, when his name came up for nomination to serve as president, the UNC had put up their own nominee as well. So we know that in terms of them making an assessment or a claim that it is the office of the president is biased on the basis that she would have been the government's nominee. No, she wasn't the government's nominee alone. She was the nominee for the entire lower house. All 41 members supported her nomination and her eventual election. Let us not forget that. So in this instance, they were calling for a debate, have a debate, malign the president on one side, have the government appoint itself, because I don't think the Constitution speaks to that issue, have the government appoint itself de facto mouthpiece for the president. So the government is supposed to come and defend the president, and based on what? Now, based on my understanding of how a debate usually works, is you would have a proposer of the motion, and then you have the other side, and everybody would speak and present their position from a perspective of facts, statistics, evidence, right? That is what you're coming with. Because you want to convince the population, we're talking about a parliamentary debate here, why your views is better than the other side. And usually, such a parliamentary debate would end in a vote. So, was there to have been a vote at the end of this debate? Based on what the opposition is saying should have taken place last week, Thursday. So they would have come and malign the president. The government would have said their piece, and then what happens after that? When would the vote have taken on that matter? Because as far as I'm concerned, the only vote that was supposed to take place last week, Thursday, was the vote in the Electoral College, where all members cast off the title of members of parliament and they put on the robes of electors, right? So there was to be no vote in that debate that the opposition wanted. I'm confused. So what would have been the outcome of that? When would that debate have come to an end? When? And then you had the Doglaya upon the convening of the Electoral College. You know, being the usual wajang that he is, complaining that he would like to have the motion read in the proceedings of the Electoral College because he wasn't present in the lower house when the motion was read. So he acknowledges that the motion was read. But just that because he wasn't in the lower house, or as they call it, the other place, he was unable to, he doesn't know what it is he's being asked to vote on, notwithstanding the fact that the motion was circulated prior to Thursday's proceedings to all members of parliament so that they could read it. So everybody got a physical copy. They probably got a copy in their email. But he's saying he don't know what it is we're supposed to be voting on. Okay. So I want to ask the Doglaya, if it is that a debate had taken place in the lower house, you would not have been in the lower house for the debate. just as you would not have been in the lower house for the reading of the motion by the leader of the obstruction. So is it then that when the Electoral College was convened, you were going to ask the Speaker to have the debate take place again? Because you don't know what you're voting on because you weren't in the lower house to hear the reading of the motion. You would not have been there for the debate had there been one. So would he have asked then for another debate to take place in the Electoral College so that he could have been apprised of the points that were raised in the lower house, in the other place, to motivate or to persuade him which way he should vote? And then you have the leader of the obstruction, putting out that she was calling for debate because she wanted to know if the Speaker was assuming that all members were coming to the Parliament with a presupposed position, that every member of the opposition had made up their minds coming into the Parliament that they were going to vote for the motion. And if the Speaker supposed that the independent senators, having been appointed by the President, that they too were coming there simply to support their boss, and that they were not inclined to hear arguments that could persuade them one way or the other to vote either for or against the motion. Now, I keep saying and I keep making the point, apparently the leader of the obstruction figure that everybody in this country is of the waterfront ilk. Mindless, clueless, ignorant and dumb, and don't have an idea, an inkling of what is going on. So we are supposed to believe you bring a motion, your party is bringing a motion to the Parliament to have the President impeached, to have the President removed, and we are supposed to believe that you all were coming there with an open mind, willing to listen to the members of the government debate in defense of the President so that you could then make a decision as to whether or not you were going to support your own motion? Really, Kamla? Really? Is it that all the citizens of this country need to walk around with their birth certificate so that we could show you all we weren't born last week? Or we weren't born yesterday? We're supposed to believe that, right? All kind of shenanigans so that you all could have the opportunity, knowing that your motion was going to fail, so that you could come to the Parliament and drag the President's name through the mud. So that all that nastiness that you all would have come with would have been recorded on Hansard for posterity. And then the lies knows no bounds. So during the vote, you had those of us who would have viewed the proceedings either on the Parliament channel, on television, or on YouTube, or whatever, would have realized that during the vote, all microphones were turned off. Whether it was when the government side was voting, or on the opposition side. All the mics were turned off. But that didn't stop the Member of Parliament for Barataria Sanwan, Saddam Hussein, from getting up in the Parliament and lying in the Parliament and saying that the microphones were on when the members of the government was voting, but when the members of the opposition, the obstruction, were voting, their mics were turned off. And there is video footage to prove that Saddam, in that claim, is a damn blasted liar. Right? But they quick to ball, row leaders lie. And Faris is a liar. This one is a liar. But here it is, that the man lied. I don't know if it is, he probably figured that because the microphone was off, the population couldn't hear him telling that blatant untruth in the Parliament. Add to that the level of disrespect that the Member of Parliament for Prince's Town, Barry Padarat, had the audacity and the effrontery to say to the Speaker, the people voted for us. Who voted for you? Who voted for David Naked? David Naked was rejected by the electorate. Rejected. Who voted for Jerlene John? Jerlene John was rejected by the electorate. Who voted for Wade Mark? Who voted for Jayanti Lakshmi Diyal? Who voted for Damian Lyda? Nobody. But you have the effrontery and you're so disrespectful to tell the Speaker that, right? It's something I'm certain, that is something that he probably had inside for the longest while and saw that, long he looking for the opportunity to tell the Speaker that. No long, but he finally got the opportunity to do it, and of course, maybe in all the melee, I'm sure the Speaker heard it. But the Speaker is to be credited for the fact that she didn't lose her cool and throw his backside out of the sitting, right? She maintained her decorum, she got up and she instructed the clerk to please continue. Just imagine Trinidad and Tobago. If you had any doubt as to whether or not the obstruction is a big joke, a waste of time, all such doubts should have been removed last week Thursday. Imagine These people bring a motion to impeach the president, such an important motion, right? And the leader of the obstruction came with a one-page motion. One page, right? They put more effort, more thought, more time into drafting a motion of privilege against the Attorney General for simply saying that the People's Partnership government rented property from Kamla's family, right? They put more thought and effort into that motion, into drafting that motion, than they put into the motion to impeach the president. Go back and look at it. On the day that the budget debate in the lower house collapsed, thanks to the UNC, Rudal Munilal came with a motion that was about 2.5 to 3 pages long, right? To move a motion of privilege against Faris, so that the only outcome of which would have been that if Faris was found guilty, that he would have been made to apologize to the House for misleading the House. And rather than take it to that point, the Attorney General did in fact apologize prior to the matter having to go before the Privileges Committee. So that was the extent to any punishment that would have been meted out to the AG, an apology. And for that, to get an apology from the AG, you all write a 3-page motion. But to impeach the president, such a significant event, you come with a 1-page motion. 1 page. And then trying to pull off a one, right? So you read out the substance of your motion, and before you finish it by simply reading the names of the people who signed to that motion, you try to see if you could have squeezed in a little debate. Squeeze in some kind of thing that somebody probably tell you, but Kamla, you know this thing weak, girl. You could have write out every lie and every aspersion you wanted to cast on the president. You could have put it in the motion, so you could have read it out. But no, you thought you was going to get the opportunity to come there and malign the president. That is what they thought. And the speaker thwarted their efforts. You see? But of course, that ain't stopping people like Ralph Maraj and them to come out and say, oh, a debate should have taken place. And notwithstanding the fact that the Constitution is silent on whether or not a debate should have occurred, that the Speaker and the House regulates its own proceedings. But here's my thing, right? All of these armchair analysts and armchair politicians and so on, and these armchair constitutionalists, tell me this. Since your argument is that because the Constitution is silent as to whether or not a debate could have taken place, and based on that, based on the fact that the Constitution doesn't say that a debate could take place, one could have taken place. That's what they're saying. The Constitution don't say that you can't have a debate, so you could have had a debate. Well, then my position is the same Constitution does not say that the President or that the Police Service Commission cannot withdraw the merit list. And judging, and based on your rationale, that because the Constitution does not say that a debate can't take place and therefore a debate could take place, by the same rationale, because the same Constitution does not say that the Police Service Commission cannot withdraw its merit list, then the Police Service Commission should be able to withdraw the merit list. You can't be half pregnant. So you can't be making up rules and to apply to certain parts of the Constitution, but tell me it doesn't apply to others. That don't make no sense. If we are to follow your logic, what the Constitution is silent on could be allowed. So if you're saying because the Constitution is silent on whether or not a debate could have taken place Tuesday, and therefore a decision could have been taken to have a debate, I repeat, the same Constitution that is silent on whether or not the Police Service Commission could withdraw their merit list, it could be withdrawn. But that's just my logic. That's me, right? Now it follows, what should have happened if the opposition had the numbers, the support, and the matter went to the tribunal? What was supposed to happen, which is the ideal situation, the tribunal would investigate the claims made by the motion, and one can assume that such an investigation would have involved a conversation with the players in this matter, the president, so that she could present her side, the prime minister, so that he could present his side, Bliss Sipasad, so she could present her side, and anybody else who they felt, who the tribunal felt had something to add to the report, right? So that the report would have borne out the facts. The tribunal's report would have borne out the evidence. Then, when said report comes back to the House, then we have something substantial to debate. The report. What's in the report? The facts, not conjecture, not supposition, not lies, half-truths, innuendos, hearsay, he say, she say, and so on. We would have hard facts, the hard facts that you all want, right? And then a debate could take place on that, so that the president's name is not to be maligned. The president's name in such a debate would not be dragged through the mud, because we're speaking to what is in the report. We're not talking about what you hear by the rum shop. We're not talking about what you heard under the pavement. We're not talking about what you read in the papers because some senior counsel who has an article, a daily article in the newspaper, wants to come and say that there was a tripartite meeting between the president, the head of the Police Service Commission, and the Prime Minister. And when the Prime Minister subsequently comes out and said no such meeting took place, there is no apology from said daily commentator in the newspaper. Because as far as their position is, well, in the absence of information and in the absence of any confirmation from the Prime Minister and others, we are left to assume. And so I assume that that is what happened. So don't blame me. Blame the Prime Minister for not putting the information out there. Because we're too big to apologize, you know. And we have a reputation to maintain. And we need to maintain the reputation of our weekly or daily article. But then there's another side to it. Suppose the parliament or the opposition had gotten the requisite support to send the matter to tribunal. The Constitution prescribes that said tribunal would comprise of the Chief Justice and 4 justices of his choosing, preferably senior judges, right? Now, when we think about senior judges, we're thinking Court of Appeal. Now, if we look at the relative ages of the members or the judges who sit on the appeal bench, there will be ages in and around that of Her Excellency Paul Weeks. So it is quite likely that the members who would have constituted this tribunal to investigate the president would have been the president's former colleagues on the bench. So what would have been the case then? Because the UNC want to talk about conflict of interest, right? When the Prime Minister, a week ago, announced that a year ago he had sent a letter to the Police Service Commission expressing a loss of confidence in the Commissioner of Police, Jayanti Lakshmidiyal, UNC Senator, jumped out herself one time to say, well, if it is Gary Griffith wasn't made privy to this letter, that was a breach of natural justice because he didn't have an opportunity to defend himself and he didn't have an opportunity to face his accusers. But no such facility is to be afforded the president. Right? So you all could come in the parliament in a debate, make all kind of accusations, say the nastiest things about the president, and she not be allowed to respond. And that's okay. That is not a breach of natural justice. That has only happened for other people, but not the president. Nah. Okay? That was not a breach of natural justice, what you all were proposing. So the next argument would have been, if the tribunal did its investigation and found that the president was not guilty, and they exonerated the president of all claims and charges made by the opposition, what then would have been the opposition's position? Would they have then come out and say that the tribunal was biased because all members of the tribunal were former colleagues of Her Excellency and probably personal friends as well? Because I am certain that relationship between Her Excellency and her former colleagues extends beyond the bench, right? But the Constitution is silent on how that is to be treated, where if it is that the president is a former member of the bench, is there a conflict of interest where the members of the tribunal are former colleagues and possibly personal friends of the president? How do we deal with that situation? So all of this, the one good thing to have come out of all of this bacchanal is that it shows up a constitution that is significantly and seriously deficient on a number of issues. As the speaker would have pointed out, when the framers of the Constitution put it together, they never envisaged or anticipated that there would ever have been a motion coming to remove a president. That it was put there as a matter of course, but there was never the belief that it would actually happen. And in those circumstances, the Constitution is silent on a number of things to deal with this particular issue. But I see the ads are upon us, so we'll take a break and we'll come back shortly.
It's a limited time offer, so don't wait. Call 224-G-DOT today to sign up and save with Green Dot, improving and simplifying lives.
This is Nigel Coutier.
And this is Brian Manning. Parang time.
Call out to your neighbor.
Call out to your friends.
Come, let's spend Christmas together.
Christmas time is here. Can you feel it? It's in the air.
I call to one and all. Start up the music. Let's have a ball. Quattro play the song
while we sing along.
Sorrel in my hand
while we sing parang.
Children laugh and sing
to the joy it brings.
Eats and drinks for so.
You tight here, you know.
To have a Merry Christmas, a Merry Christmas is what we aim for. So call out to your neighbor,
call out to your friends.
Come, let's spend Christmas together. Wake up this morning, you know where we going. Victoria Village, we parangin'.
Auntie in St. Joseph, don't leave home, we coming. With box bass and shack shack,
we parangin'.
In Pleasantville,
the band passing.
In Monrepo,
parang we go.
St. Madeleine,
carols we sing.
Coquille,
we parangin' day.
To have a Merry Christmas,
a Merry Christmas is what we aim for. So call out to your neighbor,
call out to your friends.
Come, let's spend Christmas together. Brian, heading across to St. John.
St. Joseph Village.
No, we have to go visit Bella too.
Sando East.
With that, is it cold as San Fernando parangin' with us?
We going everywhere.
Yes, we come back again. Nigel Coutier, Brian Manning. Christmas together. Hey, yes, man. Tell them, Brian.
To have a Merry Christmas,
a Merry Christmas is what we aim for. So call out to your neighbor,
call out to your friends.
Come, let's spend Christmas together. Keep on passing, parang we go. Carols we sing, we parang and day. Call out to your neighbor,
call out to your friends.
Come, let's spend Christmas together.
Simpsons Memorial Limited, number 63 Eastern Main Road, Laventille. Internationally accredited funeral directors and embalmers. A full-service funeral home serving families of Trinidad and Tobago and internationally since 1945. At Simpsons Memorial Limited, we serve with dignity in assisting families in honoring the memory of their loved ones. Our services include professional funeral and pre-planning, burials and cremation, custom-built and imported caskets, coffins and cremation trays, cemetery management, limousines, mourners cars, grief counseling, web streaming of funerals, fully air-conditioned chapel with live musical accompaniment, full global shipping and receiving of loved ones. We specialize in facial restorations. Call us anytime, day or night, at 623-8688. That number again is 623-8688. Simpsons Memorial Limited. Superior service, always with excellence.
Take me to the king. I don't have much to bring.
Tune in to The Street 919 FM every Friday from 9:15 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. with Kingdom Health Services, situated at number 91 Eastern Main Road in St. Augustine. For the program, Health and Healing, merging the old with the new with Brent Diet. For more information, call 318-7471 or 484-0141 or 360-4100. It's all about Kingdom Health Services on The Street 919 FM.
If you are ready for the next level, you are in the right place. Hi, my name is Ravi Johnson and I am the MBA Program Manager at CTS College. If you're looking for competitive advantage, promotion, career change, or simply academic and career development, then I am excited about working with you.
Welcome the Christmas holidays this year with quality and attractive furniture from Stylus Furniture Limited. 2 locations, 51 Rushwood Street, San Fernando, and 101 Crackness Village in Princestown. Select from a wide range of contemporary furniture to enhance your homes. Now open on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Call today, 652-2542. Season's greetings to all our customers and friends from Stylus Furniture Limited. Stylus Furniture Limited. For the style in you.
Hi, this is Nicole Huggins. Join me every Monday morning on the Street 919 FM from 9:05 a.m. to 9:55 a.m. Let's talk about lifestyle diseases that affects you today and how we can improve your health with healthy solutions. Call Health and Well Lifestyle with Nicole Huggins at 1-868-288-1108 or 1-868-275-8359. See you there.
What is Apex? It is the pinnacle of high-performance vision through a lens. It's clarity, no matter what angle you look at. It's comfort, no matter what you do all day, every day. And it's customized, with every digital measurement your eyes require to see at their very best. Apex Digital Lenses by Value Optical, the ultimate lens design for your eyes. Value Optical, expert care for your eyes.
Police, good day. Officer Best Price here. Johnny Q Auto Parts Division?
Yes, sir.
I'm here to investigate an assault on batteries.
Excuse me, sir?
Is it true? You have batteries selling for $488?
Yes. Power Master, Optima, Vata, and Megastar batteries.
So I could buy a battery for $488?
Yes, sir. For cars, trucks, and boats. Backed and distributed by Massey Automotive.
Which part?
Right here at Johnny Q Hardware and Auto Parts Division, 15 Arrowbita Avenue, Woodbrook. And our new Johnny Q Superstore, located at Lowlands Mall off Claude Noel Highway in Tobago. You could call 60 Tools.
Alright, thanks boss. Nah man. Granny, do you have $488 to lend, man?
Hi, what's up TNT? This is Wayne Johnson out of Brooklyn, New York. I always wanted to do something back home, and we're going to be doing our gospel segment on Mondays from 10 p.m. to 12 midnight. That's 10 p.m. to 12 midnight on 91.9 FM. Listen what I want you to do. Spread the word. Spread the word, TNT. Salvation, full and free. Salvation is for everybody. Mondays from 10 p.m. to 12 midnight. That's 10 p.m. to 12 midnight on 91.9 FM.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying locked to the Street 919 FM. There's just one thing I wanted to read quickly, right? Another side of what took place last week, Thursday, ugly side. And this has to do with 2 independent senators having to come out and castigate the opposition for criticizing them for the way that they voted. This is from an Express article. And it reads, at Thursday's meeting of the Electoral College, at which the motion was voted on, the opposition UNC chanted shame, with many of them adding PNM, as independent senators registered their negative vote against the motion. This after the opposition repeatedly called for the Speaker to advise independent Senator Shri Sipasad to recuse herself. And responding to questions from the Express yesterday about his thoughts on Thursday's meeting, Senator Vieira said, I am absolutely appalled at what happened. It was disgraceful and it will go down in the annals of history as one of the darkest days in our parliamentary proceedings, reminiscent of what took place in the United States on the 6th of January, when their parliament was besieged. I'm also appalled at the double standards that were effected by the opposition. People are entitled to bring motions. People are entitled to expect a certain process. But the behavior that took place was unmerited and uncalled for. Vera said, the opposition want to attack my colleague, Senator Sipasad, on the basis that her sister, former Police Service Commission Chair Bliss Sipasad, was involved. First of all, her sister is no longer on the commission. A conflict of interest occurs when there is some kind of benefit or gain. And there was no benefit or gain anywhere, so on that ground alone, it is nonsense. But if you want to say that Senator Sipasad is conflicted because of that, then what about Senator Jayanti Lakshmidiyal, who was an attorney in the proceedings? Lakshmidiyal was Anand Ramlogan's junior attorney in the matter of Ravi Balgobin Maharaj's legal claim against the state on the validity of legal notice 183. He goes on to say, pointing to what he believed to be another double standard, Vera stated, the opposition come here and wrap up yourself in the robes of democracy and say, oh, you're fighting for democratic rights and people must be free to speak out and to choose and to vote for consciences. And when the independents vote, you boo. If I start to boo when they vote, how would they like that? He said the opposition carried on about the microphones being turned off and they couldn't be heard and that Hansard would not record them. Well, none of the independent senators had a mic in front of us. He said this motion that was brought, there are no particulars. There is no substance. It is all based on opinion and speculation. It should not have even seen the light of day, in my view. But you bring the motion, you sign the motion, and on your very motion, you then say that you participate under protest. Did I hear myself correctly? Is that for real? You participate in your own motion under protest. I have never seen such a travesty. It was really, really shameful. I mind, those were the words of Senator Vieira. Senator Vieira is a senator whose contributions members of the opposition usually laud and praise, right? And that's Senator Vieira. And again, but I will add to what he said, because I heard the leader of the opposition prior to the vote being taking place in the Electoral College, got up and asked the speaker whether or not the vote could be taken in secret so that members of the Electoral College could vote conscience. Now, I know she could not have been talking about members of the UNC because they have no conscience. So she was probably thinking that maybe there were some members on the government side or some members on the independent bench who were in support of the UNC's motion but might have been afraid to express that support if the vote was required to be audible. So let us do it in secret. No secret. If that is your position, stand by your vote. Man up and support your vote. Don't come to try to hide nothing. And then when numbers thing, we're trying to figure out, well, who support the UNC? No, we don't want that. Right? Get up, say yea or nay, so that the whole population could hear you. But what is shameful, as the senator said, and many people would have witnessed it, that as members of the independent bench, when they were called upon to vote, they were shouted down, shame, shame, PNM, PNM. Again, impugning the integrity of the senators, making a claim that because the senators were appointed by the president, that they felt obliged to support the president in public, but that if it was secret ballot, that they would have voted against the president. As Senator Vieira said, your motion had no substance, no facts, no evidence, baseless, a waste of time. Nothing. And you wanted to impeach the president on that? Where do we go from here? Your October revolution? October when? 2022? 2023? 24? 25? Can't be October 2021. Are you mad? If what Ole gave us yesterday in Oroput West and Faizabad and wherever, if that is your October revolution, my gosh. Wow. Shameless, you know. Hey, boy. Well, we'll see. You know, they're gearing up for, I saw an advertisement going around, the 25th or the 26th of November, I think it is. They're planning to have a massive protest in the Queen's Park Savannah. The mother of all protests. Yeah, they're putting the things in place. Well, we'll see what the outcome of that is. Just remember what took place in Australia when they had a similar protest and their daily infection numbers went from double digits to quadruple digits. Just remember that. Now, since then, Australia has been recording daily increases in COVID of 2,000 plus per day. Daily deaths. Don't forget that. So if all you want to come and have all your big protests, go ahead. That's not going to cause an election though. 2025. Or you could protest from now till February. 2025 is when the next general election will take place. All right? So I just put in that out there for all of you. And just one more thing I wanted to throw in the mix separate and apart from this. You know, A lot of people in this country love to praise Mia Mottley, the Prime Minister of Barbados. So she's the best thing since sliced bread, and they wish she was the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Well, I can tell you as of yesterday or day before, the total active case count of COVID in Barbados is now higher than that of Trinidad and Tobago. So all the measures that Mia put in place that Ole was loving up, and she's the best thing, and Rowley had none she, and Rowley is the worst Prime Minister, and Ole, well, she was your Prime Minister. If she was your Prime Minister, your active case count would have been much higher, because Barbados, with a population of 285,000 people, their numbers are higher than ours, right? Now they're looking to scramble to put in place safe zones, which Dr. Rowley put in place, and Ole cuss him out and say all kind of things about him. But loving up Mia Mottley, yes, Mia is the best Prime Minister in the whole Caribbean, right? But now she's looking to emulate and to do what the same Kid Rowley did. I wonder if the people of Barbados calling Mia Mottley a dictator. All earlier who love her up, now that she's doing things that Dr. Rowley did before, y'all going to call her a dictator? Y'all going to call out, or you still love her? You still want her here as the Prime Minister? Bunch of damn hypocrites. 342-0081, 466-5391. Let's see who I have here. Hello, good afternoon.
Dominic, good afternoon to you, my dear.
Greetings.
How are you doing, Dominic?
I am very good on this fine Sunday.
Well, first of all, before I start with anything, I want to wish my Prime Minister happy birthday. Dr. Rowley, we love you. We the people of Diego Martin West will continue to love you more and more. And may God continue to shower you with all God's blessings. Dominic?
Yes, ma'am.
You hear me? Right. Dominic, a shameful fish market. That is how I described last week. You understand me, Dominic? A shameful, that was a fish market. Dominic, well, what I like, the speaker did it well. She handled the situation real good, Dominic, because what they wanted to do, that when they started to carry on and beat that test, what the speaker would have done, asked them to leave, anybody to leave the parliament. But I like what the speaker did. As soon as they start, I said, you all carry on. She did it well, Dominic. Well done, the speaker. You understand me? Dominic, you notice that the former Speaker of the House, Nizam Ahmed, described Thursday proceeding as an insult to Parliament, the high situation of democracy, Dominic?
Yes.
You know what you remind him of? July the 27th, 1998. You understand me, Dominic? Dominic, they have no respect for Parliament. Absolutely none. And listen to me, that is why David Market and Anna Roberts will never have no respect for the head of state in them. Because why? The leader have them like that. You saw the behavior of them, Dominic? It was stink, dirty. Hear what I'm telling you about. Dominic, I also noticed too, the head of the legal, this gentleman, he was charged.
Yes, Mr. Chandler.
Yes, he was charged, and I think he is they grant him $1 million bail. 1 million, you understand
yes.
me? On 5 charges. So we wait to see the outcome of this, Dominic. You understand me? Dominic, I don't know, but I want there to put something in place that you see Parliament, we got to respect Parliament, Dominic. We have to respect. Dominic, is it that case we make laws? Dominic?
Repeat that?
Is it that case they go in there to make laws?
Yes.
Right or wrong? You sure? I was wondering, Dominic. Dominic, and look at the protest. Dominic, what we have to do, we have to leave this country and go other places. Dominic, I thank God. I love my country. We living in a blessed country. Dominic, I've been to a lot of places, and the kind of roads I see, and places that a lot of people have to be like working wise, and the building break down. We have to say thank God to Trinidad and Tobago, Dominic. You hear what I'm telling you? We are too damn happy in Trinidad and Tobago. Dominic, have a good one. Reach home safe.
Thank you. Right, so 342-0081. Let's see who we have here. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dominic. I don't know why I'm not getting you on Facebook.
I don't know. I'll have to check.
Yeah, so I have to listen on the radio. Yeah, Dominic, what are they going to protest for? It's just that people feel that somebody call out to them and they need to protest, so they would go and protest, like they did in front of the waterfront. Or are they paid? Because, I mean, you can't take your good self, a sensible person, to go. I mean, I'm listening to you this morning, yeah? And I've seen some commentary on some chats and also reading the paper, and I'm wondering why people make those comments or those contributions. Do they believe what they're saying, or they just want to support a cause? You know, are they thinking, I mean, even if you support somebody and they're talking foolishness and they're behaving stupid, you know, you're going to agree and make a contribution to support their foolishness, Dominic? Is it that people are so stupid? I mean, your colleague and they're going to look at you, are they going to support you or saying, oh, am I associating myself with these people? But they still have to associate themselves with that person for behaving stupid, for looking stupid, for looking stupid. But I thought, you know, there had a group of people going to a funeral last week because they were all in black, you know? And now you are telling me that they want to protest by the savannah, so much more going to die? Were they wearing those things in support for those people who are going to die? Because after the vigil, we had a lot of people being infected, right? So is it that those people really going to support foolishness or going to just support because they don't know why they're going to support? It's the same behavior they did when some years ago, I gave a gentleman a lift, right? Because I was I was speaking to his mom and he was leaving home and I don't know him and I was giving we were talking and I said, where are you going? He said he's going to the parliament. He's going to support something on the casino, something with the casino. I can't remember it now, right? So I want to know if people or their workplace or they are somewhere where they're working or they have an association, you know, or a club, and they say, listen, I want you to go and support that to make up numbers, you know, because I support this person. I am hoping that people will use good sense and not support foolishness. Have a pleasant lunch and be Dominic.
Thank you, Kola. But as you said, you hope that people will use their sense. That makes the assumption that they have sense, right? So apparently their hatred for Dr. Rowley and hatred for the PNM trumps good sense and trumps health. So they're willing to go and run the risk of being infected with COVID come November. Apparently I didn't get a memo that come November the 25th or the 26th, COVID will be no more in Trinidad and Tobago. All right. Hello, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Dominic, brother.
Greetings.
Yeah, man. Mr. Good afternoon to Sharon and Bruce, big sister Sharon, everybody, the whole team, everybody. Dominic, I listening on the radio there and I hearing this Lucky Miru, Councillor Miru from Faizabad on a mic, encouraging people to protest on Faizabad. We in a state emergency, Dominic?
Last I checked.
So how this Lucky Miru that always wants to be chairman of the Superior Regional Corporation, all she has to do is promise him that and he's back on board. How he's able to be doing all this nonsense on Faizabad in a state emergency? Where's the police service? You see, Dominic, I wonder if it's back to the same old, you know. Because I'm telling you, Dominic, as much as the country split on ISU, you know. Right? But as I said, time will reveal everything. All Mrs. Bissessa is doing is consolidating her base, her support, but there's no one with the neophytes within the parliament. If they check while that was going on, Dominic, in the house there, and number is called Khadija Amin. Dominic, your grandmother ever told you about a raucous, with a particular kind of woman not to make your wife? Khadija Amin behavior was atrocious. atrocious, Dominic, for a young woman on the coming, right? And these is things that people have to watch and learn, right? If that is your behavior outside, how you just behave inside, boy? Right? And as I said, that whole thing was politics, and she captured her support on her base, right? That Dr. Munilal, whatever little support he has, because he has no credibility, all them fighting for survival, and them neophytes, all the neophytes that she put them 18 neophytes, 17 neophytes, they're not going to go against Mrs. Bissessa as new opposition leader, and she knows that, but she wanted to see who are the people supporting in the lower house and the upper house. So that was all staged, but the victim here was the president. So, but a desperate person will clutch onto straws. It's like a one-hand man hanging on a cliff, Dominic. You can't let go. So Mrs. Bissessa is in that position. So this was all staged. This was all politics, and Martin Daly and Rameston, all of them fling under the bus. When all of them who encouraged it, they fling under the bus now saying that they had no provisions to the beat. Right? When everybody knew that it was the Police Service Commission, and all of a sudden it reached to who meets who in the President's house. Martin Daly started off, Dominic, by saying that the Police Service Commission who let down the country, you know. But then when that didn't stick, they moved to who meets secretly in the President's house. All them fellas is games players. Dominic, I just waiting to see how this thing is going to unfold, and it's no revolution coming. All that was just anti-cams playing her role. Mr. Dominic.
Thank you, sir. Let's see here. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Dominic. How are you?
Greetings.
Yes. I've been enjoying the program here. Dominic, all this ruse that took place last Parliament, it was a whole ruse. And I kind of think all this trouble just to bring down the government. If you notice the pattern, right? You notice that they was targeting Fitzgerald Hines for him to step down?
Yes.
Right? And then when they did that work, they started to interfere with the Attorney General, right? Well, it was actually with the police the commission. Everybody resigned to step down, right? Then they tried to go after Mr. Hines. When Mr. Hines said that he had a witness, you noticed that everybody was quiet, right? They didn't bother Mr. Hines. Then they tried with the Attorney General, right? They tried more or less with the Prime Minister, and then they went after the President. But I see that she's trying to go after the Prime Minister, right? So maybe that's the thing. So I am waiting to find out what this October Revolution she's talking about. I know the October Revolution is associated with the infamous revolution in 1917 in Russia. You aware of that, Dominic?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I know it was a bloody revolution. So I'm waiting for all the games to being played out. My concern right now in this country is this so-called gradual increase of the Delta variant in this country. The COVID cases are rising. And I hope people have sense to know what is going on in this country. Because apparently there are certain people who want to mash up this place before anything get better. There are people who don't care at all. They would rather see this country going to the ground if they can't get away or if they can't come into power, because they have economic power, you know. They clearly have everything. All they want is political power. And if they can't get that, they will burn this country to the ground. Right? You have a good day, Dominic.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Dominic.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, am I clearly right?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Dominic, it has something that, and Nation, good morning, listeners. Only listeners to one of the most prolific, erudite, straightforward, pragmatic hosts on radio that speak to the public. Yeah, Dominic, I like how you do it now. Right, Dominic, it has something that PNM does do. It is either get me vexed or it does make me happy. Here what is going on, Well, they just moody goalposts. the Daily Dot, the Tony Lee, the Faziers, all of them, right? All the commentators and the commentators and the Illuminatis, luminaries. Oh, I thought it was, I made a mistake and said Illuminatis. Here what they do, they just move the goalposts. Here what go on this time now, they take the goalpost, right? Screw it up on the ceiling, put a net in front, and say, right, that's where the goalpost is falling out. You know what is going with the PNM? They are still scoring out, Dominic. You know wherever they put the goalpost. The PNM, they just board up the front and say, right, all they are scoring that, put the goalpost outside of the tournament. And the PNM does still score in that goal instead of walking off on the game now. Right? So I want to commend this political party in terms of how it is dealing with matters now. Everything, you hear this next miracle that happened now. That same morning I looked to the north and I saw a pink donkey. Do you know that tutor agrees with, you understand what I'm saying? I'm like, imagine they just reach everybody. Imagine the tutor president had a smile on her face on the front page on the paper. That is governance for you, Brother Dominic, if you understand what I'm saying. And that's how PNM does do it. We just listen to all you, and we just give all you want, and then all you have to move on to our next issue unfairly. So, but now nothing. We go deal with it. We'll still score in the goalpost. One other point I wanted to make in closing. It has some narratives how they calling Dr. Rowley a dictator. They started the same technique they used in Mr. Patrick Manning time, but at the time now it had more illiteracies at the time than now. But now people get a little bright and they realize there was two. Oh, Dr. Rowley's that. So dictatorship is not fighting against laws that would end corruption. Now, in a dictatorship, trying to bring laws that will benefit the good of the country, local government, and you're blocking that. Trying to bring laws to give Tobago more money and more autonomy, you're blocking that. So that is not a dictator. That is not a dictator. Listen, Dominic, nation, all you have a nice day. All you keep good and may the Lord bless the PNM. Great is the PNM. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Right. So I think, so apparently Facebook is down. Not too sure what's going on there, but we'll see how we can fix it. Hello, good afternoon.
Mr. Good afternoon to you, Dominic.
Kingsley.
Yes, ma'am. And that was before say happy birthday to the Prime Minister. I am here today, he's 72 of age. So much happy birthday. I'm also hearing that he's spending his birthday in Tobago. It's his wife and his children. And so maybe have a nice birthday. Back to tomorrow. But Dominic, this afternoon, you know, I want to remove all political hats and talk to the people of this nation, because we are really going astray. And it is something what Dr. Ali is speaking about and all. Constitution reform. We need it in our country now and more than ever. Because because I asked the question some days ago, if we move Dr. Rowley, do we think that things will change? Things wouldn't change. But laws written since 1786 and all kind of thing in our country. So we need, because today in this country, Dominic, we divided by race, we divided by politics and religion. We not as a people, as the father of the nation says, there's no mother India, there's no mother Africa, but there's mother Trinidad and Tobago. And we have to protect our country and our children's future. So we need to ask for constitution reform, because after all, people are asking the question, who was right? The Prime Minister was right, the President was right, the opposition was right. But end of the day, that is a disease, because we know that laws, we have a man sit down in jail for 15, 20 years and all these years and things happening in the country. So, again, I plead to the people of this country. It's time to unite. It is not time to unite to throw over no government, but it's a time to unite for our children, because our country is going astray. By things are raising in the food prices, things are because I know that the Prime Minister some months ago have to come and buff certain businessmen who link with politicians and had this cement for $100. So sometimes people might say things raised and blame the government for raising things. No. Some businessmen have decided for themselves to raise items. The Prime Minister has to come and say, hey, the Trinidad and Tobago Cement Limited never raise the price. The price is the same way people question now how doubles raise. And flowers is natural for me have at the same price of how bread raise. So there's people who have business places, people who are doing small business. They are linked with politicians, and they will do anything to mash up this country. That's why my plea this morning, is to save my country, because for the last 3 days, we've been seeing things what we see in 2005, when 14 people was injured on Frederick Street by bombing in a bin. Somebody put a bomb in a bin to disrupt this country. So we see what's going on. And I'm saying this, there are certain people linked with politicians, with political parties, and they will do anything, raise the fare, do this, do that, to make our government look bad. And I'm saying this, as I said, I never leave the UNC. The UNC leave me, so I gone on the fence. I gone where the undecided voter is. When is election, I will choose my political party. But right now, I am saying country, and we need that. So Dominic, as always, I want to say thank you for always giving me the opportunity to say what I'm saying, my brother. Keep sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Right. Yes, we appreciate all opinions. Here, we are all citizens. So, hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, Dominic.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi, good afternoon to listeners on 91.9. Dominic, as you would have said, obstructionist. There is no better way to put it. And their agenda, I don't know if it has anything to do also with the fact that the Attorney General, Mr. Paris Awari, would have said that the obstructionist leader should be shaken in her boots based on some type of investigation going on into the some vessels or something like that, and the Norwegian government. So I don't know if it's all those things, but clearly they did not go there to carry about a peaceful whatever objections they had and all that in the parliament, because they were very disruptive, they were insulting, the behavior itself doesn't over well. And then after she's speaking about the Prime Minister put the woman to the front and he dragging women and all that. The only person I see dragging women is the opposition, the obstructionist, so David Naked, what he would have said about the president and the way that Kamala Prasad is behaving after she would have given her all the praises when Madam President Paula May Weeks was elected as the president of this country. So I don't see them doing anything different. They're going to get worse, because she herself would have said that is the obstructionist leader, Kamala Prasad, sister, that is war. And then she tried to clarify in it easy. It's political war she's talking about. But she came out after and spoke about October Revolution. She didn't explain what that meant. And what we see is Nanku or Tanku, whatever his name, up in Faizabad with his counselor openly carrying on a protest, and they themselves saying this is October Revolution, it started. So we have to be looking at that, because had it been deceased, may God rest his soul, Abu Bakr saying October Revolution, there would have been police there at his door wanted to clarify what he meant. So let us see how this would pan out. And before I go, Dominic, I don't know if you would have seen the report in the papers concerning Watson Solomon Juke. the man who wants to put himself in THA, they have him in a little picture to the bottom of the poster so that you don't even recognize him and pushing Farley forward as to sanitize the PDP. However, we all know anything happen if he's really the leader, that there is an article out there about the spending. Our audit report was done on the finances of PSA, and it has verified what we have been out there preaching and talking all the time. Watson-Duke has been spending money without proper approvals. And he's trying to now to throw it on the General Council and speaking another nonsense, but PSA is a sovereign organization. We are not. He could talk that to the PDP supporters because they might believe that. PSA could never be a sovereign organization. What on earth is a sovereign organization? Because we are actually under the financial regulatory called the Ministry of Labor Registrar of Trade Unions. So how could we be sovereign? We are not a country. We are organizations, so that shows its stupidity. Because we have a constitution, it doesn't mean we're a country. What's to PSA is an organization, and we are under the Trade Union Act. Yeah? And also, he talking about the General Council and their parts in it. Okay, that is true. However, he failed to leave out the signatory on the check. It's Watson-Duke signatory and one of the executive officer. The General Council will sign no check. So if he pulling the General Council into the bacchanal, he had to put himself because he's spending money and he's signing the check. I just want to leave it. But Tobago people, if that is all they want, because all they find he's so nice, because a girl tell me he looks so nice, he could never be a man before the court and wait. If that is what all they want, I'm glad for all they. But we in PSA know him for 12 years, and we know the way he wants to drag we union, though he's 83 years old. We are organization will stand the test of time. But the way he has bring PSA, we only have some millions of dollars coming every month. You think if he gain THA with billions of dollars, what he will do and what he wouldn't do? All they take that if that what they want. Dominic, thank you so much again, and you show him safely. Right.
Thank you very much, Jenny. I did in fact see that article come out this morning, and I intend to address it in the coming days because I'm certain Mr. Duke must be counting his blessings that it would have come out at this particular point in time, while all of this bacchanal with the president and so on is going on, so that hopefully that would take a back seat, right? But if it is all who was singing a song about zipline and 2 million, we ain't talking 2 million here, talking at least 6.3 million that Mr. Duke has to answer questions about. And we on this station certainly will not allow this matter to be shoved into any corner for the continuing foolishness of the UNC with respect to the president. As far as I'm concerned, that matter is spent. Let's move on. Yeah, you remember as Prime Minister, that used to be Kamala's famous line. Let us move on. Kamala, time, let us move on. Move on from this issue, right? You're beating a dead horse. We fed up. Let's see who I have here. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Dominic.
Brian.
Good afternoon to listeners and callers of 91.9. Fantastic discourse this morning into this afternoon, Dominic.
Thank you.
Dominic, let us say it for what it is. Right? Because after Thursday's Parliament, the opposition leader came and she read a statement. That statement, Dominic, was sanitized prior to her reading it because she would have used the cover of Parliament to identify and to certain people. For example, the President of Trinidad and Tobago as well as the Prime Minister. To say that, yes, there was a meeting and them was there. That's what she wanted to do, Dominic. But she didn't get that opportunity because the Speaker, after getting up and sitting down over 40 times, stood her ground. So she had to redact certain things out of the speech that she came with. And she had to add one or two little things to say that it was up to the Speaker to say exactly to make the accusation, because in her motion there was no accusation. She didn't allude to it. You understand? But she came, and when she was being questioned by the media, it was the responsibility first of the Speaker, and then it was the responsibility of the Prime Minister, and then the President. So it was her motion that she brought, but it wasn't her responsibility. She recused herself from, no, not me. It's not my responsibility. And this is what we have to face. And that is why I am so happy that the government side just sat there, as well as the independents, and looked on. And this is what we call it our children, Dominic, to go and look at. As somebody said in Port of Spain when they were interviewed by a television station, what they going to tell the children who stay down and playing cards with men who have a gun in the waist? What they going to tell them now when they see how our lawmakers getting on? You understand? Look at how these people in our parliament, when they're supposed to be making laws for us, to represent us, and they abuse the speaker, literally, because apparently they had things in the crowd that they wanted to say. You understand? And they didn't get the way, so they say all manner of things. It was the worst. It was nasty. It was stink. And if that is what we are going to hold up as representation in our parliament, well, then we are in a sorry state as far as opposition politics is concerned in this country. All for power, Dominic. All for getting your hands on the treasury, Dominic. Because you want to be a leader. You want to be prime minister. You hate... Who next, Dominic? The Chief Justice, the Prime Minister, the President, the AG. Who next, Dominic? Dominic, I know the Prime Minister has said the wheels of justice turn, but they turn slowly. But they better get some speed on that wheel, Dominic. Because we can't be going to our parliament on a weekly basis or however many times to be hearing people like Naked and people like Douglas and people like, well, oh God, Khadijah Amin was the total worst. I thought she was supposed to get married. That's why I must change her mind. Well done. But it was the worst. And I don't know where we're going to go with this, but if and Dominic, I felt it to the speaker, I am being honest with you. I felt that, I said, Lord, if that was my sister or my mother or somebody else, my relative, I don't know what I would have done. Because I could not believe the abuse, the level of abuse. And the one who say who votes for you, he is lucky to be in the parliament. Because the Prime Minister at the time decided they weren't going to go forward with the court matter as it pertains to him presenting his papers in the wrong way early o'clock I think just before the last election in 2020, if you recall. It is the worst I've ever seen. And we as a people, Dominic, must not allow that to go on. We must get up and say something. We must call them for what they are. Although they will have support from people who said, people who have letters before and after the name saying that there should have been a debate, as though they can't read the Constitution. But it's okay. Those of us have to get up and say, listen, you're wrong, you're nasty, and you will remain in opposition until all your members decide to get rid of you and the likes of Naked and Annie Roberts and the like, and bring some decent people to represent the opposition, the UNC in the parliament. Until that is done, Dominic, it will be this battle of this will be the war. That will be the war, Dominic, until that happens. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Well, I wait with bated breath to see how this October revolution pans out, whatever that means so far. Anyway. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Dominic.
Good afternoon, sir.
Peace and blessings to you this morning, big brother.
And to you.
And morning to Trinidad and Tobago. Merry Christmas to Trinidad and Tobago and around the world. Merry Christmas to you, Dominic. Dominic?
Yes, sir.
I didn't know sometime, man. I didn't know sometime, Dominic. But 19 is 19,000 people know about the opposition, Dominic, in Trinidad and Tobago. And this is where 19,000 people want to put back into the House of Parliament in Trinidad and Tobago. Again, dear Dominic, and if there are 19,000 people, they understand what has take place in the same parliament which govern Trinidad and Tobago, and also them. There's something wrong with these people, Mr. Dominic, because as I say, is these people, Mr. Roman, as I tell the citizens, Dominic, what these people now, man? What these people now, Dominic, and ain't telling me, telling the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago that these people is fit people for the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, Dominic? What kind of country will be running having these people serving us in Trinidad and Tobago, Dominic? Ms. Kamala Persad Bissessa was the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago from 2010 to 2015. And I know for sure, anytime this woman come back in, as a Prime Minister in Trinidad and Tobago, Dominic, we have to mind ourselves, you know. We have to see about ourselves, Mr. Dominic, because no world leader, after witnessing this lady as a Prime Minister in our country from 2010 to 2015, who world leader signed up to speak to this woman, Dominic? Which world leader want to negotiate anything with Ms. Kamala Persad Bissessa concerning the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago? Dominic, the citizens have to get real. And any young people listening to Mr. Dominic Romain on this station, let me say, happy birthday, greetings, blessings to my Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. May you enjoy a safe and blessed day, because I know for sure that gave the health and strength to rise up this morning. Yeah? So all the blessings to you and your family. May you have a blessed day, a great day, Mr. Prime Minister, and all the best to you. So, yeah, Mr. Dominic, we as Trinidadians have to get ourselves together and understand. As I was talking to the young people at Trinidad and Tobago, let me tell all you something, all young people that listening in from 10 goes up the road. When all you look around all you and look around Trinidad and Tobago, just always keep in all your mind that is the PNM government that have Trinidad and Tobago as it is today. Anything you see wrong here was built by the PNM government of Trinidad and Tobago from 1956 to now. Young people always remember that. Not another government had did anything for Trinidad and Tobago than the PNM government. Mr. Dominic, thanks for the time. Have a safe and blessed day. Take care for me, please. And may God be with you always. Thanks, Mr. Dominic. Blessings.
Thank you, sir. There's one more thing I wanted to touch on before we close off today, right? You know, the obstruction continues to encourage their supporters to disrespect different institutions in the country, right? Offices and institutions. Now I see they have a post going around misrepresenting what was said by one independent senator, Hazel Thompson. I don't know if some of you would have seen it, where in her contribution to the budget debate in the Senate last week, Senator Thompson Hai was speaking about the property tax, and she was making reference to say, that there are certain things that people have no problem spending money on, but complaining they don't have money for property tax. Two of the things she mentioned was Carnival, and the other one was Diwali Nagar. So I see Motormouth Inshan Ishmael put out a post a couple days ago that reads, so a pack of barfi or rasgulla is the same as property tax? As someone who is there during the Nagar to facilitate parking at our compound, almost 80% of those attending do so to purchase food. Why the hell she ain't compared those who purchasing carnival costumes? That's more realistic. This independent senator needs educating. And of course, that would have attracted some 282 comments, most of which were condemnatory of the senator. And I see the UNC's Facebook page, kick out the PNM and a few others, publishing the same thing and causing UNC supporters to heap scorn on the senator and making allegations of race and so on. But the senator, prior to that, those of us who would have taken the time to view her contribution, prior to making mention of Diwali Nagar, she said, she spoke about carnival, and she said if the government were to announce carnival next year, there would be those who would jump around, fall down on the ground, and so on, so that they could go and buy their costumes. They'll find money for that, but wouldn't find money, but they're complaining about property tax. They edit that part and only focusing on the part where she talk about Diwali Nagar, and you see this clown, Inshan Ishmael, right, posted up that there to encourage people to disrespect the senator. And I would have commented on it, pointing out to him the truth, that the senator did speak about carnival, as he mentioned there. He still have it up. That is what it is that we have to be dealing with, the level of dishonesty that coming out of these so-called activists and these so-called patriots. They can't fight the fight based on honesty. It's a set of lies, misinformation, hearsay, janjat, as the Prime Minister say, rara. That's all they're good for. That is why they will remain in opposition. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Dominic.
Yes, sir, greetings.
Well, Dominic, all the callers on board with what a transpired there. But I want to make a little twist it. It only takes a mastermind like a Kamala Prasad Bissetta who gave us Section 34, who planned that to take a sitting judge out of the court, create a ministry called the Justice Ministry, concoct the Section 34, concoct the bill itself, to pull out Section 34, send it there to the president while having a cocktail in one hand, a pen in the other hand, to sign a bill like that. So easily in the night, the lawyers already know what's going on. So bright and early next morning, they put through the thing. I want to go in the court, the thing. Then say that they didn't know anything was an error until come back. And then use the sacramental call for justice Burnley to get away with it. So the only difference here is that we know her. She has a record of trying to scam the country and scam the people. So when she came out with that, everybody would have done their research. That is why the speaker would have used Nigeria. And that is why she started off to respond to the letter sent to her by Ms. Kamala Prasad Bissetta, which is the parliament procedure. She can't do that. So she would have given good reasons on why she's going to do what she's going to do, because she knew that there's a procedure and everybody must follow. The trick was Kamala Prasad Bissetta wanted to start the debate by reading what was that on the other paper. And that would, of course, here. If she had got a chance to read it, then she would have been arguing the point of, the speaker heard, and then the speaker may have to back down and allow her and a coonies and then to disrespect the president, because that is what she was all about. I also noticed that Ms. Kamala has not responded to, I would be afraid if I was Ms. Kamala Prasad Bissetta. Ms. Kamala Prasad Bissetta, the nation is still waiting to hear what it is you're supposed to be afraid of. They never respond to it. We're still waiting to hear. So here's the reason why she is in this state, because coming soon, a former Attorney General, who I always say must know about Section 30. For anything to go to proclaim the Attorney General must be privy to that, and the Prime Minister. Them is the two. Yeah, I have noticed that the case is going to start very soon, and I have noticed the intense wild up. Like if she, real scared. It's like when you ever try cornering a stray cat, and when he back against the wall, he ready to get out of this gun. They raise the tail high up in the air, and all you hear on the back raise up, and they're ready to attack. That is what I see in Miss Kamala Prasad, sir. Something is wrong, and she must not be really processed, because what she also want to do with this is to say that the government and the speaker shut her down in Parliament, because they want to lock her up, because she will do the same that Basio Pandey used politically. Because here's the reason why she's talking about democracy and all this other thing. So she will use the fact that she has been targeted by the PNM government to be abused, to get the people to wild up and the people to say that...
I better leave it there, caller. The adds up. Out of time, not out of things to say. Join Sharon and Bruce in the morning for Titans of Democracy, and God's willing, I'll be back with you on Tuesday, and we will continue the discussion. What's due PSA money? Tuesday.
Thank you, CTS College, for making my dream become a reality. The excellent student support made my educational journey a successful one.
Thank you, CTS College, for providing me the resources I needed to get the job that I wanted.
Thank you, CTS College. Start your degree today at CTS College. www.cts